The Gospel of John is just epic. I mean, it kicks off in eternity itself, with "In the beginning was the Word." From there, it's just one world-altering miracle and mind-bending teaching after another. But then, after all that grandeur, it ends really quietly. Just a simple conversation on a beach. And it's right there, in those final simple words, that we get one of the most powerful and personal calls to action in the entire Bible.
So think about it. After everything, the Word becoming flesh, blind people seeing, Lazarus walking out of his own tomb, the cross, the resurrection, what's the grand finale supposed to be? What's the last big thing Jesus says to his disciples? You're probably expecting, some thunderous declaration from the heavens or one last spectacular miracle to close the show. But that's not what happens at all.
And just so we're all on the same page about how odd this ending is, let's just quickly recap the ground we've covered. John has shown us Jesus' glory revealed through massive public signs, then explained in these intimate private teachings. We see that glory accomplished on the cross, and then, bam, vindicated by the resurrection. I mean, it's this huge cosmic story. So to wrap it all up with a quiet chat on a beach, well, that's a very deliberate choice, and it's one we really need to dig into.
And this is where the entire gospel lands. It's not about more spectacle. It's about a call to obedience. I mean, the whole point of the book was to get us to see who Jesus really is and to believe in him. And now, right at the very end, John shows us the unavoidable, logical next step. Seeing Christ inevitably leads to following Christ.
Okay, so Jesus has just restored Peter. You remember Peter, right? The guy who swore up and down he'd never deny Jesus and then did it 3 times. After this incredible moment of grace, you'd think Jesus would say, "All right, smooth sailing from here." But nope, he does the exact opposite. In the very same breath as this amazing forgiveness, Jesus drops a bombshell, a really hard truth about the real cost of following him.
Listen to what Jesus says to Peter. It's got this heavy, prophetic weight to it. He basically tells him, your life of freedom, of going wherever you want, that's coming to an end. A day is coming when someone else will lead you, and they'll take you somewhere you do not want to go. Wow, that is a stark, chilling prediction.
And look, we have to understand the context here. For a first-century listener, that phrase, "stretch out your hands," wasn't vague at all. It was a common, almost clinical way to talk about crucifixion. So Jesus is being brutally, unflinchingly honest. He's not speaking in riddles. He is telling Peter exactly how he is going to die.
So what's the bottom line here? It's this. The call to follow Jesus is a call that is going to cost Peter everything. His freedom to just go where he wants, his personal comfort, and ultimately, his life. This is so important. Jesus never, ever sugarcoats the cost of discipleship.
But then, there's this incredible reframe. John, the guy writing all this down, adds a little note. He says this death will glorify God. Now hold on, that's the exact same word Jesus used to talk about his own death on the cross. So this means Peter's suffering isn't pointless. It's not some tragedy. It's actually a reflection of his master's own journey, a way to show the world what God is truly like. But, as you can imagine, hearing this difficult prophecy triggers a very, very human reaction in Peter. And that leads us to the next big lesson.
Okay, so Peter has just been told this incredibly difficult thing about his future. And what's the first thing he does? Exactly what you or I would probably do. He looks over his shoulder. He looks sideways. He starts comparing his situation to someone else's. And that's what unlocks the second great truth in this whole conversation.
Peter literally turns. He sees John, the disciple whom Jesus loved, and immediately asks, "Lord, what about this guy?" You can just feel the subtext, can't you? He's basically saying, is his path going to be easier? Am I getting the short end of the stick here? It is such a raw human moment, that instant reflex to compare our lot in life with someone else's.
And Jesus' response is so sharp, and it's meant to be, he just cuts right through it. If it is my will that he remain until I come, what is that to you? He's essentially telling Peter, my plan for John is none of your business. Your calling is about your obedience, not about how it stacks up against his. And that might sound harsh, but it's actually a profound mercy, because comparison absolutely paralyzes us.
And this just illustrates the point perfectly, doesn't it? God writes different stories for different people. Peter's calling, to glorify God through a violent martyr's death. John's calling, as tradition tells us, to glorify God through a long, long life of faithful testimony. 2 totally different paths. Both are unique, both are chosen by God, and both are completely valid ways to bring him glory.
So if this life of following Jesus is going to be difficult, and if it's going to look totally unique for each person, then what holds it all together? What keeps us from just falling into despair or getting completely distracted by what everyone else is doing? Well, the answer isn't about knowing the future or making sure everything is fair. The answer is a person and one simple central command.
Think about this. Twice in this super short conversation, once right after telling Peter how he's going to die, and then again right after telling him to stop comparing himself to John, Jesus gives the exact same command. It's the absolute heart of it all. It's the final word that cuts through all the fear, all the questions, all the comparisons. Just 2 words. Follow me.
And you know, there's a richness here in the original Greek that we can miss. The word is akolutheo, and it's not a one-and-done command like follow me right now. It's in a tense, the present imperative. That means something more like keep on following. Make this the constant ongoing pattern of your life. It's not a single decision, it's a whole lifestyle.
And that, right there, is the profound shift. After everything, even after the resurrection, the basic call doesn't change. It's still, follow me. But now? Oh, it is so much deeper. You're not just following a wise teacher anymore. You are following the risen Lord of the entire universe, the one who has already walked the path of suffering and come out the other side, having conquered death itself.
So, what are we supposed to take away from this quiet, intense conversation by a charcoal fire? It seems to me that Jesus leaves Peter and us with 3 foundational truths about what it really means to answer his call.
This is why we can call it a cruciform call. It's literally cross-shaped. Here's what I mean. First, a life of service is a difficult life. Jesus is completely honest about the cost. Second, a life of service is a unique life. God's plan for you is not the same as his plan for the person next to you, which is why comparison is such a dangerous trap. And third, and most importantly, a life of service is a following life. The ultimate focus isn't on our circumstances or someone else's path. It's about keeping our eyes locked on him.
And so, the entire Gospel of John ends by basically turning the camera away from Peter and pointing it directly at us. It leaves every single reader with this incredibly personal, searching question. Because in the end, the issue is never, well, what about them? Or even, what's going to happen to me? It all boils down to this. The risen Christ is looking right at you right now and saying, follow me. The only question left is, what's your answer?